بلساني يفقه قولي.
Amin.
ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. الحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin. Okay. Have you done your exercise? Tak sempat tengok lagi. Have you done your exercise?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Check first. Yeah. Turn in. Okay. Okay, nak ingat. Okay, class, please open the access for me, So because when I open up your link, okay, I got to request access from you. Okay, so you have to give me access for those who have a link. Okay, you change dekat access tu. Okay, boleh? Okay, so I will pick up later one or two exercises from you, then I will check. Okay, then you can share with your friends. Okay, today we are going to continue on the section C, on the internal control evaluation. So this is after you finish your all the planning part. So you already document your planning, okay, your audit strategy and your audit planning. So now is the time for you to evaluate on the internal control system of the company. Okay, at the beginning, from the preliminary assessment, okay, that you have done, okay, you have expect, okay, on the level of risk, okay, and you already determine, okay, the high risk area and the low risk area. For the high risk area, you may need to perform. You might respond to the risk using the overall response. So you might do your test of control, or you might test of control together with the substantive test. Okay, if you are not during the audit planning, you are not rely on the internal control system of the company, so you have to perform you have to respond to the substantive test only. So today we look at first on the internal control evaluation, okay, provided that you rely on the internal control system, and then you respond both to the test of control and substantive test. Okay. Okay, if you are not rely on the internal control system, then you no need to perform the internal control evaluation. You must perform all, okay, during your substantive test. Okay, so I will share the screen. Okay, can you see this one? Nice. I share the getting started. Can you see?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So this is what actually I take from the actually the process, okay, after you finish your audit planning. So how you are going to do in the audit. So with so much information in the audit guide, where does one get started? So how you are going to start? Okay, every audit start with audit planning. Okay, so we have discussed before that you have to prepare all the audit planning during which the auditor assess the risk of involved in the audit, the maturity level to adopt, and etc. Okay, depending on the audit approach, okay, he may perform an internal control review to assess the efficacy of the internal control. So this is what I said just now. Okay, subsequently, he will perform the field work. Okay, field work is the audit test, and at which stage he should use appropriate audit programs to guide his work. You must know what you have in the audit program. Audit program is a set of audit procedures for the auditor as a guidance for the auditor to perform his audit work. Okay, on completion of the field work, okay, field work is the audit work. He will prepare the final audited financial statement. Finally, he should complete the audit completion memorandum before submitting the audit file for review by his manager or partner. So look at here. Finally, after you finish your audit field, okay, audit field work, then you have to prepare final audited financial statement. Finally, okay, he is the auditor, should complete the audit completion memorandum. Audit completion memorandum is one file, okay, and you submit, okay, to the audit partner or manager to review. Therefore, depending on whether the company is a dormant company, small company, so you have to look at what type of company you are auditing. Okay, if it is a dormant company, small company, or medium to large company, the audit approach is slightly different. Okay, a smaller company may bypass some procedures. Okay, a smaller company. So if it is a small company, you audit only Sendirian Berhad but only less than 1 million profit, okay, or transaction. Okay, so it's different from the company who have turnover more than 5 million or turnover more than 20 million. Okay, but the overall approach is substantially the same as illustrated by next page. So this is what you should do. Okay, so this is a approach. Okay, so this is I share you. Okay, what is actually happen in the audit firm. So you have types of company: dormant company, small company, and medium to large company. So if you are join the auditor as in the small company, okay, small auditor company, okay, let's say you join after you finish your SCCA, okay, your rezeki join first the small company audit firm. Then the small company audit firm normally perform for the dormant company and also small company. Okay, for the medium to large company, okay, this is actually done by medium to big company. Okay, so for the dormant company, okay, you do the perform audit planning, no form to complete. So this is only a simple dormant company ni dia company tu is not active anymore. Okay, but they're not close. Okay, dormant company they're not active but not close. Okay. What other field work should you do? Complete dormant company audit program. Okay, and then completion, no form to complete. Okay, and then for the small company, you have to do audit planning and risk assessment. So what you have done in section A and section B. Okay, especially section B. Section B. Okay, complete audit planning. Section of small company audit program. Okay, and then fieldwork, complete small company audit program and completion complete small company audit program. So this is depend on the company. Okay, this one. They already have a section. They already have a document. Okay, in the company for the small company. Okay, if you are joining the audit firm, okay, in the small or in the medium to large company, so you have to perform substantive approach. So this is when you are not this one when you respond the risk using the substantive approach. Okay, this one when you respond the company. Okay, this one using the system-based approach where you perform the test of control and substantive test. So if you only perform the substantive approach, so you need to do audit planning and risk assessment, complete audit planning memorandum. And if you are using the both test of control and substantive test, okay, you have to perform audit planning and risk assessment. So this one is same, but you have here review internal control. So what you are going to do today? Okay, you need to review internal control using the ICQ, internal control questionnaire. And all the field work should be compiled, okay, complete audit program wherever applicable, and do the completion stage. Okay, so that is what you do today in the audit. Actually, what is in audit practice? So these are the audit strategy. Okay, the audit strategy. What is the meaning of audit strategy? What you cover in audit strategy, Fitri? Audit strategy, Fitri.
Yes, madam. What was the question, sir?
What is the audit strategy cover? What is the audit strategy cover?
Management, madam.
Management. Salah tu.
Internal.
Emilia want to help? Is it S10? Dia di tim apa? Nature? Is it nature or scope?
Scope.
Scope,
Scope,
timing and
direction.
direction. Okay?
Direction.
Yang tu adalah audit strategy. Audit strategy determine scope, timing and direction. Audit planning? Audit planning?
Nature, timing, extent of audit procedure.
Nature, timing and extent of audit procedure. Okay. So, okay, you have to look at one. Okay. Okay, audit strategy. Okay, this one. Okay, you see what I share? Boleh nampak tak?
Boleh.
Okay, so this is the category 1 dormant company, category 2. Okay, category 2 on the investment holding companies, including those with management fees and companies with turnover less than 5 million. So this is category 2. Company which are less than 1 million. Okay, because we have a different category, different approach. Ni category 3, less than 5 million. Category 4, this is for the medium company. Medium company, more than 5 million. And for the category 5, medium. Okay, tengok category 5 ni is the medium and high risk large company. Category 4, low risk, medium and large company. Okay, the turnover is same. Okay, more than 5,000. Tapi category 5 is a high risk company. Category 4, low risk, and medium risk company. Okay, so that is a different because the scope tadi. You determine the scope. So in the audit strategy, you already differentiate it. Okay, and then what is the audit approach? So for the dormant company, minimal testing. For the company more than less than 1 million, although audit work is mainly substantive but use internal control principles where applicable. So this is the scope that they have determined. So dalam audit strategy so for the category 3, okay, the turnover less than 5 million, low risk small company. Okay, although audit work is mainly substantive but use internal control principle where applicable. So they use also internal control where applicable only. Okay, where applicable only. Okay, and for the low risk medium, okay, anyone, siapa yang raise hand tadi? Any question? Syamina.
Kategori 2 dengan 3 tu dua-dua small company
Yes, dua-dua small company but the low risk company, companies not in category 4 and turnover less than 5 million. Sebab kadang-kadang ada company tu dia letak under category 4, okay, sebab dia punya turnover tu sometimes is more than 5 million but dia put under small company. Okay, small company tu dia dah registered dalam they already registered with the registration of company, ROC. Okay, so maybe later they will go to category 4. So on that particular year, they still put under category 3. But maybe next year, because the turnover is already more than 5 million.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you might use the test internal control evaluation where applicable. Okay, but look at to category 5. Okay, category 5 is the high, medium or low risk. Medium and high risk, large company more than 5 million. Risk-based and review of internal controls but rely on system and do less substantive work depending on quality of control. Okay, you do substantive tests, you do test of control. Okay, if the internal control system is effective when you perform the test, then it will reduce the substantive test. Okay, it will reduce the substantive test. Okay, and what category of the risk assessment? Assessment of risk. Okay, yes. You need to do risk assessment. Okay, for all types of company, for all category of company. Do not complete internal control checklist but not internal control questionnaire. Principle for audit. So prepare the internal control questionnaire. So and then complete detailed internal control checklist for the big company. Yes. Okay, field audit and inventory count. Okay, interim audit. So yang ni untuk company for the high risk. You boleh tengok kalau high risk company here. Okay, they need to do interim audit for inventory count. Okay, maksudnya during the interim audit, they have to come also for inventory count. During the final audit, they also have to come for inventory count. So this what actually the scope. Okay, nature and timing. Okay, so timing, interim audit, and final audit. So this is a timing dalam audit strategy. Okay. So timing and direction. So direction, the high risk and low risk. So this is what actually the auditor do in audit. So review. So this is a review by manager and partner. So semalam kita dah tengok when to review. So before the audit opinion issued by the partner. So all category must be reviewed. Okay, by manager and partner. And types of account, call over, perusal, signing of audit completion and memo all must be done. So this is what actually in the audit strategy. Okay, so this is only the explanation. So for choosing the sample size, so they also give a guideline. So these are all the guideline. So dalam audit, actually when you go for the audit, so all companies, all the audit firm have this kind of standard of operating procedure, okay, before they do the audit work. So I advise you, when you join the audit firm, okay, you have to read all these documents, okay, when you start your work in the audit firm. So these are all the audit technique, and you should emphasize, okay, for the large figure. So yang kita belajar dalam audit sampling tu. And then sample size, okay, whether the system is effective, if not effective, how. So these are all there put in audit strategy. Okay, all the regarding the sample size. Okay, and okay, when you want to perform a substantive test, they also give a guideline. So these are done by the audit manager. Okay, so you see the example of audit strategy. Now you can see how the audit strategy is what?
Yes.
Okay, so I tak nak you tak faham what is actually in audit. So today we look at how you are going to evaluate. So this is for the category 5 company just now, where you need when you respond the risk, okay, you need to perform the test of control, okay, because you rely on the internal control system of the company. So if let's say after you rely on the internal control system of the company, and when you evaluate the internal control system, then okay, you can reduce your substantive test. Tapi kalau you buat macam kategori 4 tadi, okay, kategori 4, okay, where okay, kategori 4, this one, okay, is on when you need only to perform the internal control. But again, risk-based and review of internal control, but rely on system and do less substantive work. So if you rely, then do less in substantive work. But if you not rely, so you have to perform the if you not rely on the internal control system, then you have to perform all in the for the substantive test. Okay, so today we look at how you are going to do the internal control evaluation. Okay, today we focus on the component of the internal control. Component of internal control. This one. Okay, component. Okay, so we focus on the 5 components of internal control system, and then it can depends on the situation. So we try to cover all this one. Okay, the general principles of the internal control system. Okay. So I think you already have the idea on the internal control system, where you learn the internal control system in FBT, right? You have the topic on FBT, topic internal control in FBT. Betul tak? Afika Ashfa? Afika, betul tak Afika?
Betul.
Okay. So what you cover in FBT? Component? Have you covered the component? Dah lupa dah. Dah lulus, dah lupa dah. Component of internal control system. So today we are look at the components of internal control system from the perspective of an auditor. So Okay, actually you have to know why they who is the responsibility to maintain a good internal control system in the company. Whose responsibility to maintain a good internal control system in the company?
Director.
Director. Okay, the board of director, not the auditor. So what is actually the auditor look for? Okay, the auditor look for whether the internal control system is effective or not. Okay, because when the internal control system is effective, it will help in the preparation of the financial statement. So that's why auditor have a statement that if the auditor rely on the internal control system, then they can perform the test of control. Okay, if they not rely the internal control system, then the auditor have to use all for the substantive test. That is the evaluation on the internal control system. And the objective of the you have to look at whether the internal control system in terms of the accounting information is good or not. Okay, whether the adequacy of the accounting records and whether the accounting system are capable of producing a reliable set of financial statements. Okay, and auditor then assess. Okay, and is considered necessary test the client's control. Okay, auditors will only perform detailed test of control. Okay, detailed test of control. Okay, if they believe that the control are strong. Okay, this one, what I said just now. Okay, and hence they will be able to place some reliance on test of control and reduce the amount of substantive testing they need to carry. Okay, so remember, if the internal control system is not good, the auditor believe the control are not good or weak, so auditor do not perform the test of control. Okay, the detailed test of control. And then as an auditor, you also have to look at the information system of the company. Okay, information system. Okay, what you have to look into the accounting system in the SQL if the company are using the computerized accounting to record the transaction. So you have to look at whether the system is adequate or not, is effective or not. Okay, so auditor need to evaluate how by preparing the internal control questionnaire. So that is the common understanding. Okay, questionnaires are common means of understanding, recording and assessing the strength of control, and we shall consider internal control questionnaire and internal control evaluation questionnaire. So you will see two questionnaire here. One is ICQ and another one is ICEQ. So kita akan tengok nanti. So you must be able to design the ICQ and ICEQ. And then this chapter also, you must able to identify any control deficiencies and should be reported to management. So in this case, okay, you are given the case study. Okay, you are given the case study. And then from the case study, you identify the witness. Okay, the witness. So how you are going to identify the witness? You have to perform the test of control. So when you perform the test of control, you must know what are the procedures used. Okay, you must have the verb. Okay, the procedures, nouns. Okay, and objective of the control. Okay, so in this chapter also you will see the difference between objective and the activities. Okay, so that's what you are going to do today. Okay. Okay, actually what we are going to what is the continuation from the previous topic. Okay. Actually, it is important for the auditor to understand the information system and the whole system of the environment of the company, because when you assess the company risk, assessment of the company risk, it's provide you some knowledge when you when you assess the business operation of the company. Okay, the business operation of the company. So that's why, okay, you need to assess the internal control system because it is relation with the understanding of the entity and its environment. Okay. When you understand the entity, so this is come under ISA 315, where you need to understand the business entity and its environment. Okay, in the understanding, okay, of the business entity and its environment, you need to assess the internal control. So actually, what is internal control? Okay, internal control is the process design. Okay, design. Okay, ED, design. Who design? The management. Implemented. Who implement? The management. And maintained by those charged with governance. TCG, management and other personnel to provide reasonable assurance about the achievement of the entity's objective with regard to reliability of financial reporting, the effectiveness and efficiency of operations and compliance with applicable law and regulation. So this is the meaning of internal control. Okay. So actually you have the words here. Okay, I don't want to explain further on the internal control because the definition because you already learned in FBP, but I want to highlight here on the entity's objective. Okay, the internal control that designed, implemented, maintained by those charged with the governance, management or personnel, okay, is to provide reasonable assurance, okay, on the entity's objective. Okay, so if the company, okay, if the entity's objective is achieved, okay, so in other words, we can say that the internal control system is effective. Okay, what happens if the entities is not achieve their objective? Okay, if the entity does not achieve their objective, you can question, okay, you must be skeptical, okay, regarding their internal control system. Okay, because okay, as what we understood that when the company have a good internal control system, okay, you will be okay, if the company is good in their internal control system, of course, okay, it will help the management to achieve their objective in terms of reliability of financial reporting, effectiveness and efficiency of the operation and compliance with applicable law and regulation. So this is the three parts that the auditor will look into. Okay, kita nak tengok whether the company, okay, when they have a good internal control system, okay, they can produce a reliable financial reporting. They can have an effective and efficiency of the operation. Okay, and they prepare the financial statement, okay, we are in compliance with applicable law and regulation. Okay, so that is what actually the objective of the auditor regarding the assessment of the internal control system. Okay, any question on this on the futures of information system and internal control? The introduction part of the internal control? Any problem?
No,
No.
madam.
Okay, okay. So now we go to the components. Okay, this is important. I think the June exam question, last June, they ask you, the question come out is on control environment. Okay, control environment. So maybe this semester we don't know, but you must focus actually on this 5 elements. Okay, the first one is control environment. Second is entity risk assessment process. Third, information system. Okay, and fourth, control activities. This is also important, control activities. Okay, the famous question selalu dua ni lah, control environment, control activities, and monitoring of control. So there have 5 elements in the internal control system. So you need, okay, you need to understand that 5 elements implemented by the company, not you only know what is control environment, what is entity risk assessment, okay, what is control activity. That one you already learn in your FBT. Okay, but in audit you must understand, okay, the internal control. The auditor gain understanding of the design of the internal control. Uh, it maybe design and of internal control. Okay, in bracket here, it is capable of effectively preventing, detecting and correcting material misstatement. So if the internal control procedure apply in the business, but it is failed to prevent, detect and correcting the material misstatement, okay, there is it will contribute to control risk. Okay, remember control risk. Okay, ingat lagi maksud control risk? Anyone can share with me what is the meaning of control risk? Supaya tak mengantuk kan, dengar seseorang cakap, so then you have to speak. Emilia, any idea on control risk that you have learned?
Madam. Saya lah madam.
Okay.
Control risk is the risk that a misstatement could occur.
The risk of misstatement could occur. Lagi? Tak
That
cukup.
could be material. That could be material.
Material. Tak cukup tu Syamina. Tak sampai pun objektif tu. Tak sampai pun. Yasmin? Yasmin.
Sama macam Syamina, lepas tu saya add on due to error or fraud.
Control risk. Control risk is the internal control procedure does not able to prevent, detect and correcting the material misstatement at the assertion level. Betul tak? Control risk.
Lama lah madam.
The control risk is the internal control procedure, okay, where the internal control procedure were not able to prevent, detect and correcting the material misstatement at the assertion level. Betul tak? That is control risk. So yes, you can use your own sentence, but your own sentence must suitable to the ISA definition. You must suit it. Okay, kalau tak ingat the whole paragraph is okay, but dia mesti sesuai lah dengan definition of ISA. Okay, boleh? Okay, never mind. Good try. Okay, so kalau tak nanti you tak tahu level of your bukan understanding, you understand but level of your memorizing. Okay, or writing skill lah kat situ next week test and the implementation of that control has been operated correctly in the year. Implementation of the control. Okay, so that is the your duty as an auditor. You must understand the design of the internal control. So macam mana you nak understand whether the internal control system is able to prevent, able to detect, able to correct the material misstatement. So you prepare the internal control question or internal control evaluation questionnaire letter after this topic. Okay, now today next we cover on the component. Okay, the 5 component. We start with the control environment. Okay, actually control environment here, it becomes the umbrella to the other component. So this is control environment on the top, okay, part of the component. So other than that, okay, you have another 4. Okay, you have risk assessment. Okay, you have the information system, communication, monitoring, and you have the control activities. So that's why the question is asking you on control environment. So because it is an umbrella to other internal control. If the control environment have no issue, the control environment able to prevent, detect, and correcting material misstatement. So then you can say that overall internal control system maintained by the company is good or is effective. Okay, what is actually the control environment? Okay, it includes the governance and management function and the attitudes, awareness, and actions of those charged with governance and management concerning the entity's internal control and its importance in the entity. Okay, so if you read to the newspaper, okay, any articles or whatever in the media social and so on, in other sources, okay, you might see a news, news regarding the BOD of certain company, okay, having charge in the wrongdoing activity. Okay, katalah company A, okay, the board of directors of company A, okay, is found guilty, okay, in involving in the money laundering activity. So that is the governance, okay, because the board of directors is the big person or the top person in the management, okay, who actually should understand clearly about their internal control system. Okay, but then he or she has made a fraudulent activity. So actually it's not good from the public point of view. So means control environment includes the governance and management function and attitude. So you have the word here, attitude, awareness, and action of those charged with the governance and management concerning the entity's internal control and its importance to the entity. Because people will look at on the top, the head of the organization. Okay, if the head is not good, so the people perception to the whole organization is thoroughly look at to that particular people. Okay, so do you agree or not? If let's say you read certain article regarding katalah in the newspaper come out, okay, company A, the board of directors of company A, they have do fraudulent transaction in their business activity. So what is your expectation towards the company? Yasmin, any idea? Yes, Jamina?
The company is not cannot be trusted.
Company cannot be trusted, or maybe if we can assume that the board of directors also can do the fraud, okay, what goes to the employees, right? Okay, right. So that's why control environment play an important part in the component of internal control in achievement of their business objective. So this one ni objective ni. Okay, so we can, as an auditor, okay, we can see that they have a question on the reliability of financial reporting, the effectiveness, so all have the question. Okay, if the board of directors or those charged with governance involved in the fraudulent activity. So now, okay, I want you to read the difference between strong control environment and weak control environment. Okay, can you read? Now I give you about yang ni just baca je lah, about 6 minutes. Okay, 3 minutes for strong, 3 minutes for weak. Okay, start now. Okay, done? Not yet. Okay, guys. Have you finished reading?
Yes.
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 Okay. Anyone can share me about the point in the strong internal control? A few points. How you understand on the control environment that make your conclusion the control environment is strong. Okay, anyone?
Me.
Okay, Yasmin. Okay.
Madam, can you scroll up a little bit in biar nampak full paragraph company A?
Company A, the whole paragraph for
Yeah.
company A. Okay. Okay. So then now is it
Yeah.
better?
Uh-uh.
Better?
Yes, better.
Okay.
So first, the all staff knows like what's going on. Like they know the manual and the system, and they are given the training to ensure they can do the job properly. That's the first point.
Training. Second.
And then they know like the structure and the flow of the authority line between the staffs. And since there are less staff turnover, so pretty much there are no much updates required since there's no usually new stuffs.
Okay.
And then since the authority line is obvious, so it is easy for the staff to access to all the internet and the internal control things. And then the internal audit function is also being managed very well in the company. And we can see the duty of the internal auditor where they report to the audit committee and they ensure that there are a high level of control.
Okay.
And lastly, the HR policy in the company that are always updated, and the staff know where they can get the HR policy because the internal control is strong. They
Okay.
can just access the intranet
Yes.
and yeah, and the ethical values also.
Number 6 is
So
on the
ethical values.
ethical value.
Yeah,
Okay.
that sums up that all of it.
Okay, thank you, Yasmin. Okay, very good. Point discussed by Yasmin there. So that's all. Okay, inside the things you should know. Okay, when you evaluate the control environment of the company, and then if everything is included and effectively implemented, then you will say that the company have the strong internal control system. Okay, any question? Thank you, Asmin. Very good. Any question,
Welcome.
class? So everyone clear on the strong internal control. So if let's say the question come up, so these are all the things you have to highlight. Okay, in terms of the human resource policy, okay, provide the training to the staff. Okay, in terms of the authority line is very clear. Less staff turnover, well managed internal control where the reporting is goes to the audit committee. And all the all the top management or those charged with the governance have a good ethical value and which underpin the corporate culture, okay, efficient and effectively managed. Okay, so good. Now go to the second. Who would like to try on the weak control environment as compared to the strong one just now? Okay, who would like to try? Faiza, try Faiza.
Yes, madam.
Yes, try.
For weak control environment, new staff are taught the quickest way. Uh,
Okay, make your own with your own understanding, Hani.
Dengar.
Yes. Faiza, just put in your own sentence. It's okay, 1 or 2 or 3, 3 points. Okay, Faiza, boleh tak? Or we go to others first. Siapa nak tolong Faiza? Anyone? Try to build up your confidence level sebab yang ni dah minggu ke berapa dah ni? Dah minggu ke 7. Hey, you all ni. Siapa? Try. Bismillah. Ada? Try ada?
Yes, madam.
Try. At least you say something. It's okay.
For weak control environment, the internal control is not being recorded, firstly. And the staff is being teach the quickest way to get things done rather than following the control activities. And there is no clear reporting lines
Okay, no
because the
clear
structure is
reporting line.
haphazard.
Yes.
There is high level of staff turnover,
Yes.
and the policies and procedures are long, complex and outdated.
Okay, the policy are long, complex and outdated. So can you okay, thank you Ada. Okay, so that is the point that you take up from the case study. Okay, just to make it more benefit to the exam purposes. Okay, next time Ada. So do not repeat what you have in the case study. So make it as what like Yasmin answered just now. So you can take the point. Okay, you can take the point, but restructure the sentence. Okay, sebab bila you jawab case study, okay, you cannot pick from the case and copy the whole thing. Okay, so you might start with because of the control is not clear. Okay, the staff may not remember what they have did. So like something like that. Okay, so good, Ada, good. So but you just for the exam purposes, but for the explanation purposes is okay as long as you understood. Okay, what is the meaning of weak control environment? Okay, class. Can you see the difference between the first one and the second one just now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So when you get a case study, sebab internal control ni dia akan keluar kalau if the question on the 15 mark, they can give you the kind of question of the case study, yeah. So start from now, you must able to read the case study question. So these are what you discussed just now, okay, on the control environment element. So in terms of the communication, in terms of commitment, participation, okay, management philosophy, organizational structure, this is what you relate with the line of the objective tadi, okay, where everyone know their authority line. So that is in terms they have a good organizational structure. So that's why when you go to the company's website, okay, they must have, okay, their organizational structure. Okay, same also to our college. If you go to the office, yeah, at I think at the in front at the foyer ke ada organizational structure. Betul tak? Siapa nampak? Ada nampak tak? Dekat foyer. Dah lama tak pergi foyer kan? So Next time you see, so the management philosophy and operating style, okay, you have the vision, you have the mission, okay. That's why every company they put that one, okay, as the management philosophy. And then assignment of authority and responsibility. That what you said just now, when they have their clear line of assignment. So if he is working as the operator, what is their line of authority? If they are working as supervisor, what is their line of authority? And then human resource policies, okay, in terms of recruitment, okay, orientation, training, evaluating, consulting, promoting, compensating, remedial actions, all included in their policies and practices. So that is called good element of the internal control system. So for the exam purposes, you must know the elements of control environment. Okay. Okay, control environment. So this is the okay. I think I give you 5 minutes break. Okay, 5 minutes break. And then kita continue on the Brown Co balik. Brown Co. Okay, company yang kita buat case study. Okay, 5 minutes break. Nak break ke tak nak?
Nak madam.
Nak kan tak nak. Okay.
Okay,
Go
madam.
break. Toilet ke, gimana ke, jalan-jalan ke. Okay, kelas. Kelas. Dah ada ke?
Dah.
Okay. So now we proceed control environment at Brown Company. So at Brown Company, what they do? There are 3 directors actively involved in day-to-day operation. So anyone can read? Just read saja. I nak dengar Mimi Farhana. Mimi? Can you read? The rest can take a point. Control environment at Brown Company. Okay, Mimi. Mimi.
At Brownco, there are 3 directors actively involved in day-to-day operations, which is required to monitor controls in operation in his or her operating environment. New staff are given a small controls manual and are coached what they are expected to do by another member of staff. The finance director has overall responsibility for controls, and if problems with control in other departments become apparent during invoice processing, he takes it up with the other directors. The finance director is very hands-on. If problems arise, staff members regularly seek his advice. On occasion, if it is necessary to meet time deadlines, he will bypass control procedures to achieve an end, but does not allow other staff members to do so. At first glance, the control environment at Brown Limited appears strong. However, the fact that the finance director ultimately rates efficiency above effectiveness of controls is a serious deficiency. Alone, it seriously compromises the ongoing effectiveness of the control system, but is also likely to result in other staff members not prioritizing control procedures. This renders the control environment weak.
Okay, can you understand the control environment at Brown Co? Okay, yang ni yang Joe Price dengan Emily audit tu. Okay, Brown Co, there are 3 directors involved in the day-to-day operation and required to monitor all the operating environment. Okay, and then the new staff given a small control, but they are coaching by another, and then who have a manpower here? Okay, from the 3 directors. From the 3 directors, you can see the have a big power.
Finance director.
Okay, the finance director. So at the beginning, kita when we read this internal control, okay, at the first glance, okay, how do you see in terms of the control environment? From your first observation. Bila you baca on the first glance lah. So, what do you feel about their control environment?
Strong control environment.
Yes, Africa said yes, strong. Okay, for me also, I look at they have a strong control environment. So because we see how effective, how efficient is the finance director in doing their job. Efficient, so you have the word efficient. Okay, the finance director seems very efficient, right? Efficient. But okay, when you assess it in detail, okay, you will see certain control might not be effective. So you must have the clear words of efficient versus effective. Okay, efficient cakap, effective berkesan. Okay, so you see that the finance director is very efficient in doing their job. Okay, and the question mark is whether it is effective. Okay, when talking about control, okay, you as when you assess the control activity of the management or those charged with governance, okay, you have look at in terms of the effectiveness of the control. Okay, don't just look at on the efficiency of the control, but look at the effectiveness, whether that particular person or that particular management, okay, or those charged with the governance, okay, follow the rules and regulation. So in this case, yes, Patricia. Any question? Christina, any question?
Saya rasa buka mic.
Oh, okay. So tak ada question So you have to assess on the effectiveness, okay, of that. Kita tengok on control environment ni on the top people there, top people. Okay, the finance director, the board of directors and so on. Okay, when you assess on the effectiveness of the control, there is a serious deficiencies. So because the finance director alone, it seriously compromise the ongoing effectiveness of the control system, but it's also likely to result in other staff members not prioritizing the control procedures. So the possibility that the control procedures does not prioritized by the staff is higher. So chances, okay, to commit for the fraud letter will be higher. That's how you evaluate the control environment of the company. Okay, any question for the Bronco? So overall, the control environment is weak. So the auditor should see whether control environment element have been implemented by a combination, okay, of inquiries and other risk assessment. So this is the procedure. Okay, the procedures that you can assess, can use to assess, okay, the implementation of the control environment. Can do the observation, can do the inspection, or can inquire. So this is what I said just now. A strong control environment does not by itself ensure effectiveness of the overall internal control system, but it can be positive factor when assessing the risk of material misstatement. Control are more likely to operate well in an environment where they are treated as being important. A weak control environment can undermine the effectiveness of control. Because when you look at, okay, from the top part, okay, sebab itu bila kita assess the risk assessment, kita guna top down approach. Okay, where you start with the business risk. First, you understand what are the business risks of the company, because business risk will fit to the, okay, will fit to the inherent risk and control risk of the company. Okay. Second element is entity risk assessment. Okay, entity risk assessment. So auditor should obtain an understanding whether the entity has a process for identifying business risk. So this is what I said just now, business risk relevant to the financial reporting objective. Estimating the significance of the risk, assessing the likelihood of the occurrence, and deciding whether action to address those risks. Okay, this is from the management side lah. So you have to understand, okay, how the business risk happen in the company. Okay, because business risk will relate to the financial reporting letter. Okay, and then you estimate the significance of the risk, whether it is high risk or low risk. Okay, and then assessing the likelihood of their occurrence. Okay, whether it is always happen or only happen once. Okay, or and then you have look at what are the action to mitigate those risks. Okay, what is the action by the management to mitigate the risk? Okay, the action taken. Okay, because you have to look at on the relationship between the business risk and the financial reporting. Okay, inherent risk and control risk. Okay, when there is the susceptibility to the risk, and when there is a control but the control unable to detect, prevent and correct the misstatement at the assertion level. So at the preparation of the financial statement. Okay, and then as part of managing business risk, the director should have a system. So that's why when you look at to the annual report of the company, they have a risk management statement, okay, by the board of directors. So that is one requirement by the Securities Commission, okay, by the Securities Commission, okay, to tell the shareholders that the company have their procedures to address the risk, okay, in the company. Okay, and if they do have a system and work effectively, the chance of there being an error in the financial statement is lower. So the audit risk is lower, because when the inherent risk times with the control risk, okay, so it contribute to the audit risk. Okay, if the inherent risk and control risk is high, okay, so auditor should perform more audit tests, okay, and the auditor should be clear, carefully design their audit procedures. Okay, if not, the audit risk will be high. Okay, if not, the audit risk will be high. So we try to advise the management, okay, to avoid that situation. So the entity risk assessment process is an element of the control environment, which encompasses the entity process for identifying the business risks relevant to the financial reporting objective. So when the company fails to achieve their objective, so business risks is the risk when company fail to achieve the objective. So why? So you have to inquire them why they fail to achieve the objective. So if they fail because of the weakness of the internal control system, then you have to give them suggestion to improve the internal control system. Okay, if the company fail to achieve the objective because of the inherent risk, so you have to look at what are the risk assessment procedures by the management, by the top management, because inherent risk ni actually is difficult. Okay, like COVID-19 is the inherent risk. It's not because of the control risk, but you have to ask the management, okay, what are their procedures to mitigate for the risk, to manage the risk. Okay, what is, so if let's say they cannot open the business because of the government regulation, itu kita tak boleh buat apa lah. So that is not because of the mistake of the board of directors. Okay, so that's how you must understand. Okay, on the concept of you have to accept it as a reasonable assurance. Okay, where the company is not 100% perfect. So you have to evaluate according to the nature and its environment. Okay, any question on that, on the risk assessment? So this is how the company study for their risk. So in company A, each director is required to assess risk. Okay, siapa nak baca ni? Okay, cepat sikit Fatin Sharina, can you read the case study for company A?
Yes, madam.
Yes, read.
In company A, each director every month and report back on them to the board. Subsequently, The finance director is required to consider whether how to handle that risk. For example, the sales thing in customers condition. Therefore, apply is formed to carry out more rigorous receive recoverability. Tak dengar ke?
Can't hear you clearly.
Hello?
Yeah. Proceed, Sharina. Sharina, please proceed.
Therefore, a plan is formed. Hello? Therefore, a plan is formed to carry out more rigorous receive recoverability assessment before the financial statements are drawn up.
Okay. So thank you, Sharina. So maybe your line is not good. Maybe lah. Okay. So in this case, the director is required to assess risk in his or her sector every month, and report back to the board of directors. Okay. The finance director required to consider whether the risk identified might affect. So this is from the management side, might affect the financial statement and how to handle that risk. So for example, the sales director has noted that the current economic depression, like now, the current economic depression is because of the nature, okay, but they have to manage the risk, okay. So the sales director has noted that the current economic depression is resulting in customer requesting longer credit period. This is what happened now. Okay, where the customer requesting longer credit period. So what is the finance director should do? Okay, like in this COVID-19 situation where all the public, okay, rakyat Malaysia, all the public, okay, require the Menteri Kewangan, Datuk Zafrul, okay, to give them moratorium. So requesting, same as to the company. So what are the feedback or how the finance director respond on the requesting? Okay, the finance director notes that this could result in irrecoverable receivable balances being reported as recoverable on the statement on financial position. So kalau kita tak dapat payment from the customer, if let's say the company does not receive a payment, then it should noted there is a irrecoverable receivable balance. Okay. So therefore, a plan is formed to carry out more rigorous receivable recoverability assessment before the financial statement are drawn up. So maybe the customer contact make a discussion with the customer. Okay. Maybe they ask to pay in scheduling times, okay, not in the lump sum. So that is what they plan. So how they want to mitigate the risk. So that is the assessment of the risk. So factors to consider include how management identify the business risk. So if they have a irrecoverable receivable balance, so that become the business risk. They will not able to achieve the objective. Okay. Estimate the significance of the risk, assess the likelihood, and decide upon the action. Okay, any question on the risk assessment? Can you see how the management and how the auditor assess? Boleh tak? So kalau katalah the management does not take action in terms of does not do any assessment to overcome the risk, so it will affect to the business risk of the company. So kalau the business risk high, so dia akan impact kepada inherent risk and control risk. So in terms of the preparation of the financial statement. So you cannot rely on the internal control system, then you have to perform more tests. So it will have more time to perform more audit tests. And then the third one, okay, I move to third one, information system. Information system is the third component. Okay, anything? Siapa yang buka mic tu nak tanya ke? Naim, you want to ask something, Naim? Okay, no. Okay, information system relevant to financial reporting. Information system is a component of internal control that include the financial reporting system and consists the procedure and record established to initiate, record, process and report entities transaction and to maintain accountability for the related asset, liabilities and equity. Information system is how the system, how the company recording their financial transaction. Okay, so it consists of the procedures, record, initiate, recording, procedure, process, procedure, and report transaction. So if let's say the information system, whether they do it manually, okay, or they do computerized system. Okay, but normally company are using computerized system. Okay, so when the company evaluate the when the auditor evaluate the effectiveness of the information system, okay, you should understand, you should obtain understanding. You should obtain understanding of the information system, including the related business process. So business process macam you buat SQL tu lah, that is the business process. Okay, you start with the you must have an invoice, okay, and then the company should have the invoice. From the invoice, transfer to the sales journal, sales ledger, sales journal, masuk kepada trial balance and so on. So that is the understanding of the information system. Okay, and you have to look at to the class of transaction, IT and manual, whether they use the computerized or manual system to initiate, record and process and corrected the item and transfer to general ledger and reported in financial statement. So you must look at to the audit trail. Okay, any question? Then Naim. Naim, you have any question?
No.
No. Okay. So then related accounting record, supporting information and specific account in the financial statement that are used to initiate, recording, process and report transaction. Because you have to later, okay, when you assess or when you gain understanding of the information system, you have to relate with the control activities. So sebab itu you kena tengok how they initiate, record, process and report the transaction. The accounting record. So the accounting record, okay, supporting information and specific account. Accounting record tu record lah sales ledger, purchase ledger, tu record. Supporting information, all the information supported, let's say memo, credit notes, debit notes and so on. How the information system capture event and condition other than classes of transaction and that are significant. So capture event. So is there any irrecoverable debts, macam tu lah, any other bad debt. So that is the information system capture events and condition. Financial reporting process used to prepare entity financial statement. Financial reporting process used. So what are they using? Is it Excel? Komputer apa yang dia, sistem apa yang dia guna? Control surrounding journal entries including non-standard journal entry used to record non-recurring unusual transaction or adjustment. So this is important when you do the audit. Okay, in the real practice lah. Okay, you have to look at the journal entries. That's why you have to learn first on the manual. Baru you buat computer. Sebab when you do not know how the manual operated, you cannot determine the whether the transaction is correct or not when the company are using the computerized system. So you should understand the whole financial reporting system, including how items such as depreciation are reported, how the use of journals is controlled, how incorrect processing of transaction is controlled, and so forth. Okay. And most important part is on the control activities. So as we have discussed earlier, okay, you have the control activities. Okay, you normally have control activities are those policies and procedures in addition to the control environment which are established to achieve the entity's specific objective. Okay, the auditor shall understand the control activities relevant to the audit and how the entity has responded to arising from IT. Okay, so those control activities include designed to prevent, detect, and correct errors. Example, relating to authorization, performance review. So this is what you need to look at in the control activities. One is proper authorization and approval. Okay, the second is performance review. Okay, performance review macam kita buat audit documentation tu, dia ada review 1, review 2. Okay, so means that whatever persons do, they must have a performance review or independent check. Okay, independent check on performance. Okay. And the third one is information processing. Okay, so this is in terms of adequate documents and record. Okay. Adequate document and record. Okay, fourth, physical control over assets and record, including the password and so on if there is a computerized. Okay, and segregation of duties. So these are the 5 components of control activities. Okay, and you can add monthly reconciliation. So this is for the bank statement, monthly reconciliation, and also pre-numbered document to check the sequence. Okay, so that are the 5 components of the internal control system you have to assess in order to determine whether the system implemented is able to prevent, detect, or correct errors. Okay, can you read on the exam focus here? Okay. For the exam focus, you must able to differentiate between control activities and control objective. Must be able. Control objective are the objective which internal control seek to achieve. So bear in mind, this is exam focus. So means that what is the question tested to you? Okay, control objective are the objective which internal control seek to achieve, and control activities are the procedure that put in place to help ensure the objective are achieved. Okay, so that is a difference between control objective and control activities. Okay, control objective for the non-current asset could be to make sure all non-current asset acquisition are authorized. So this is proper authorization tadi. Okay, proper authorization. A control activity established to help achieve this objective could be that non-current asset acquisition are not processed, unless there is evidence of authorization from appropriate management. So that is the activity. Okay, objective dia, they're not all the current asset acquisition Okay, before the company purchase the asset, okay, it must be properly authorized. Okay, so what is the procedure? So the procedure, non-current asset acquisition are not processed unless there is evidence of authorization from appropriate management. So for taking an exam for the control activities, you must able to able to design what is your control activities and what is your control objective. Okay, here control objective. So these are the example of specific control activities. Approval and control document. Okay, activity tadi is the procedure to achieve the objective. Okay, so transaction should be approved by an appropriate person. For example, overtime should be approved by department manager. So what is the control? This is the procedure, okay, to achieve the objective of proper approval. So this is the objective. Okay, after this you can read by your own. Okay, I go to the second one. Control over computerized application. If the company are using the computerized application, so ISA requires the auditor to obtain an understanding of how the entity has responded to risks arising from IT. So what should you do? You should look at computer control in the chapter. What does it mean is when the company are using the computerized application, you should perform the computer control. You tak boleh guna manual. Itu maksud dia. So the activity, okay, to make sure that the objective is achieved. Okay, later you read by your own. And these are the objective. So objective, when you want to state the objective, you have to start with this word. Okay, to ensure that goods and services supplied on credit are only supplied to customer with good credit ratings and avoid incurring impact debt. Itu objective. So start with the word to ensure. Okay. Examples of control activities to achieve the objective. So this is the procedure. Okay, procedures to achieve the objective. Okay, referring on any new credit customer to the credit control department which perform credit check on the customer before their order is accepted. Okay, only accepting orders from customer who have no credit problem. So that is the control activity to achieve this objective. So in exam, okay, you might draw up your own control objective and your example to the control activities. So I hope you read by your own later. Okay, so these are all the example for the sales, receivable, purchase, okay, wages, inventory, and NCA. Okay. Okay, so this is in terms of the segregation of duty. Okay, segregation of duty. Okay, what is the meaning of segregation of duty? So segregation of duty implies a number of copy being involved in the accounting process. So segregation of duties, okay, should take place in various ways. First, in terms of the segregation of function. Function of in terms of authorizing and initiating the transaction, okay, must be different person. Okay, the segregation of duty means one particular staff cannot do more than one work. That is implemented by the big company. For the small company, they do not have any, normally no segregation of duties. So that's why you cannot rely on the internal control system. So you have to perform substantive tests. Okay, so this is in terms of segregation of function, authorizing and initiating, physical custody and control of asset involved. So who physically custodian the asset and who control the asset? So maybe control the asset is who control the store must be a different person who make a purchase for the inventory. So that is a segregation of duties. And recording pula. Okay, the person who control the asset cannot record the transaction. So that is the meaning of segregation of duties. So normally in the company, in the organization chart, okay, they have a different department. So sales department only responsible for making a sales. Okay, all the transaction in terms of revenue received from the customer should be done by the finance department. Okay, so that is the segregation of duties. Various steps in carry out the so you can read by your own. So I just highlight the important things. Effective. Okay, how you say that the segregation of duties is effective in the purchasing cycle? Okay, so placing an order for the goods will be different from receiving the goods, will be different from authorizing the good, initiating the payment, and reconciling the payable ledger. So all should be done by different section. Okay, all be done by different people. Okay, so that is considered effective segregation of duty. So how about the small organization? As I said earlier just now, okay, it's very difficult to apply the segregation of duties. Most of the transaction will be done, all this one will be done by one person. So what should the auditor do? So auditor must look at in terms of the involvement of the board of directors or the manager, okay, in controlling this particular person. So that is how the small organization works. And monitoring the control. So to monitor, so this is the last component, the component number 5. The monitor of control is a process to assess the effectiveness of the internal control performance, okay, relevant to the financial reporting, including those related to those control activities relevant to the audit, and how the entity initiate remedial action to deficiencies in its control. So the monitoring of control is a process to assess the effectiveness of internal control performance over time. Okay, over time. So means that how they monitor the control. Okay, is it on a timely basis or at the end of the year? Okay, they take they monitor the control. So it is more assessing the effectiveness of control on a timely basis and taking necessary remedial action. So normally in monitoring the control, the involvement of internal audit department is very crucial. Okay, internal audit department function. So they have to monitor the effectiveness of the control on a timely basis and report to the management, and the necessary department have to take action, remedial action regarding to the reporting responsibility from the internal audit department. Okay. So if let's say the company, okay, that is done on the monitoring and control in the computer environment. If the company are using the computer environment, so you have to perform computer assessment. So they have two types of computer environment, application control and general control, general IT control. Okay. So I think this one we will look at on Monday. This one. So we finish and for the 5 components only. Okay, any question for the 5 components of the internal control system? Can you anyone make summary of what you learned today on the 5 components of the internal control system? Okay, siapa yang tak bercakap lagi tadi hari ni? So you just summarize, okay, one component Christina ada, Mak ada. Okay, Fitri, try Fitri. Number 1, component number 1. Dia dah belajar dalam komputer ni semua dah senyap. Cepatlah, you all nak pergi semayang ni. Fitri. 2 minit lagi.
Yes, madam.
Just summarize what you understand today. Okay, make yourself as
Komponen
an
number
auditor.
one. Komponen number one juga.
Tak payahlah number one. You just summary what you learn today as an auditor. For the 5 components of the internal control.
Yeah. For the 5 component of internal control, we have control environment, entity risk assessment process, entity process to monitor the system of internal control, the information system and communication, and control activities. So as an auditor, we need to understand the information that given about the control environment in order to determine what audit approach we need to use. And as an auditor, we must also fulfill the legal requirement.
Okay. Dah.
Yeah.
Okay, actually what is the end objective? If you are the auditor, why you need to understand? You said just now to gain understanding of the 5 component of the internal control. Actually, what is your main objective on that component of internal control system? Okay, tak apa, Fitri dah. So kita tanya yang lain pula. What is actually the main objective? Okay, Nurin Syal. Nurin. Nurin Syal.
She went to the toilet, madam.
Oh, cepatnya pergi toilet. Siapa lagi ni? Faiza. Faiza tadi tak cakap lagi. Faiza. Faiza. Faiza, cepat Faiza. Sikit je.
Ya, madam.
Faiza share dengan Ain ke? Okay. So what is actually your main objective? You assess the 5 components of internal control. Okay, of the of the 5 components of internal control system of the company. Kita dah cerita panjang-panjang ni. Actually, what actually you want from the company by assessing the internal control system, by the 5 components of the internal control system of the company?
Sekejap, madam, tak jelas.
Tak jelas? Okay, you want me to repeat the question, Faiza?
Yes, madam.
Okay, now you already understand. Okay, let's say you already understand the 5 components of the internal control system of the company. So you already assess. Okay, and then when you assess it, you conclude, okay, with the result. So what is the result you are going to conclude? Actually, apa yang akan you dapat from the assessment of the 5 components of the internal control system?
The internal control is effective or not for
Okay,
the company.
Internal control effective or not, and then? How it help you as an auditor?
Can I answer the question?
Come again, Mimi. I can't hear you, Mimi.
Can I answer the question?
Oh, I see. Okay, ask Faiza. Faiza, can Mimi help you?
Yes.
Okay, Mimi can. Faiza give you approval. Okay, Mimi.
The auditor can provide reasonable assurance about the achievement of entity's objective.
Yes, the auditor the auditor provide by assessing the management 5 components, so it help auditor to achieve the reasonable assurance on the effectiveness and efficiency of the internal control system. Okay, another sentence to support. Ini ada lagi sentence nak support? Do you have any more sentence, Mimi, to support your answer? One sentence is not enough. It's not enough. Okay, anyone can help Mimi pula? Anyone? Anyone to try? I like Mimi. Always volunteer. How about others? You should volunteer as Mimi. Okay, Emilia Christina. Want to try? Emilia Christina pun selalu dah panggil nama. Syamina, Faiza. Siapa yang tak panggil nama Afika selalu Amni. Amni. Naim. Amni try sambung the answer from tadi siapa Mimi?
Mimi's answer is to auditor we can provide reasonable assurance for the effectiveness of internal control system. So when the effectiveness of internal control system is when they can detect, prevent and correct the error or any possible material misstatement.
Okay, so if the company, so you have to relate back the definition of internal control system here. So if the company on the basis of providing the reasonable assurance on the achievement of the entity's internal control, where the internal control system is effective, okay, it will able to prevent prevent, detect and correct the material misstatement at the early stage. So when the internal control procedure is able to detect, prevent and correct the misstatement, so the auditor can put reliance on the internal control system. Okay, can put reliance on the internal control system, hence it will help auditor to reduce the substantive test. Itulah yang I nak. Actually, why you perform the assessment on the 5 components of the internal control system. Okay? Itu je sebenarnya what you are going to learn today. Okay, tapi you kena tahulah the 5 components. Any question, class? So I will put the exercise in the Google Classroom. So during the weekend you can do it. Okay, plus do the revision for section A and section B for your test. Next week, Friday, the same day. Today you will do in class. Okay, the test. Okay. Any question? No.
Madam.
Yes.
Actually,